we are continuing to talk about the biggest blockbuster, the biggest action blockbuster of the winter, and that is the reimagining of Point Break. And who better to do it with than a man that has his hand in both the original 1991 Point Break and this reimagining, BoJesse Christopher. You know him as Gromit from Point Break, and now the director of the FBI from the Point Break reimagining. BoJesse, it has been a while. Welcome to the show. It's good to hear from you. How's everything going, my man?
Well, first of all, Clint, thank you for having me back, and everything's great. I'm excited. This is going to be a big end of the year for me, and obviously looking forward to this new year in 2016.
Absolutely, and we have the film opening Christmas, and that is, I think, going to make for an unbelievable situation. I think this film's gotten a lot of buzz. The very first time I saw a trailer for it, I said to my buddy, I said, this looks like one of the best action movies of the last decade. I mean, it looks like Point Break, which is one of my favorite movies of all time, but just ramped up to the 10th degree. I mean, what can you tell us just about the film, kind of generalities? Obviously, you've worked on it. You are in this film. Just kind of give us a general outline of what we can expect from this. Obviously, they've kept some of the characters' names the same. Some are different. You and Roach are playing different characters, of course, but just kind of give us a little rundown about the film.
Sure, yeah. James LeGros and I, who, obviously from the original films, were asked back to be part of this new reimagining of the film. I mean, I think in general, just the scope of the entire story is ratcheted up, on a scale that just hasn't been presented to screen thus far. Erickson Core, who's the director of the film, did an amazing job of taking, the fibers, the DNA of all the magic that is the original Point Break, and somehow, bringing that forward into 2015, 2016 in a way that, that we require from our cinematic experiences. I mean, this film feels like the Bourne Identity on steroids.
Yeah.
All the action is in camera. There's no special effects. We're using the top athletes in the respective action sports, from wingsuiting to motocross to surfing to, you name it, it's in there. It takes place over the course of a year across 11 countries. I mean, the thing is just, a huge film. This is just a bigger experience, but it also maintains the core and the philosophy of the Bodhisattva and that sort of higher quest to achieve something meaningful through, experiences in action.
Yeah, you talk about that, and you see things just from the trailer alone. You see some crazy motocross stunts. You see, the scene where they the block of money and they cut it open over the country. It just looks like you said, the philosophy of the first one, which was kind of finding inner peace and inner desires, taken to a huge degree. And you see that these guys are not only crusaders for themselves, but maybe crusaders for humanity as well, which is an aspect that I cannot wait to be experienced. How close, in your opinion, is Bodhi and the group compared to your group, the ex-presidents? I mean, I have not heard that term ex-presidents used with regards to this group yet. I don't know if that's the direction of that or not.
Yeah, it's interesting because, obviously the cult fan base, myself included, I'm such a fan of the film. Again, I can't even believe that I was part of the first one. I'm so grateful to have been part of the original film, and then obviously to be asked back to do this reimagined version of it. But, the comparisons are there. I mean, I think they've done a really strategic, well-crafted job of maintaining that, for the core fan base, but really reimagining what that would be in modern day circumstances if you put it in, another country. In this case, there's 11 different countries with 11 different heists. And so you're going to get what you want from that group of guys going out there doing what they're doing, where you still like them, you still somehow feel, empathy for what they're doing and the whole give back aspect, and really trying to live in the moment and find ways to push boundaries and still, feel like there's a reason that's justified. So all that stuff definitely resonates and holds true in this new film.
Well, I can't wait to see it. And it was something that when we talked to you last, it had just come about, and that's been a year and a half ago. And since then, seeing the trailer, seeing all the press for this film, I couldn't be more excited. It's one of those movies, I think, that originally people were saying, like, oh, just don't remake Point Break. If you're going to do any movie, just don't do that one. Just come on.
Yeah.
But once this has come out, I think people are so pumped. I've talked to a lot of my friends are fellow fans of the first film. Everybody really excited for this and excited to see some of the characters coming back, like yourself. I mean, talk about your specific role in the film, and can we expect you to be kind of the John McGinley type character in this movie, because he was.
You sure can. I mean,
I can't wait.
McGinley is a very good friend of mine. I just admire him so much. What he did in the original film is, I mean, it's so unique. He took full ownership of that. And in my own way, I did want to sort of fashion, my character as the director of the FBI around sort of the way he was abrasive and blunt and sort of straight and direct and to the point, and a little bit, of a bad guy in his own way, but on the right side of the law. I wanted to maintain that. I didn't sort of want to put myself in that lane. But, I had such a great time. Listen, I'm a 45-year-old man now. I was 19 years old when I was Robin. So for me, these are the kinds of roles that I look forward to. And it's, such a challenge, and it was such a blessing to be able to do something like that for the first time. But it's part of a franchise that I've grown up with, in this industry. And, James LeGros, same thing for him. He and I are sitting across from each other in Berlin, Germany, doing these scenes in this film that, 24 years later, we're just looking at ourselves, scratching our head, just, kind of giggling, going, I can't believe we're here again. This is what a great thing. So I feel also like there's probably going to be sequels to this reimagined version of Point Break, and that said, there's the development of our characters, James LeGros and I. So in future Point Break films, we'll have an opportunity to develop our characters and our storylines further and really get in deeper into the franchise that is Point Break.
Absolutely, and I'll tell you what, obviously you guys got to know Patrick Swayze, Buddy, as you guys called him, I believe, on the set of the original Point Break. You guys got to know him really well. Always, from someone that didn't, obviously, someone like myself, always just seemed like a pretty down-to-earth, really good guy. I always liked Patrick Swayze, of course, in films, but he seemed like a really good guy. Let's go back to the original Point Break, which actually, I thought, and a lot of people thought, that Patrick Swayze, it was kind of an odd role for him at the time. He had just done Ghost, which was a huge box office hit. He goes and does this kind of, niche action, kind of, full throttle, movie, and it turned out wonderful. He was great in it. What was your experience like working with Patrick, and how do you feel like, he would feel about this film coming up?
It's a great question. I mean, I think, Buddy Swayze, Patrick Swayze, what a terrific soul. I mean, that man, he was Bodhi. He is Bodhi. He is everything that Bodhi is and stands for in the universe, Swayze just was took full ownership and nailed that. He was a mentor. He was a brother. He was, this was a fearless artist who just really got underneath all that stuff and really made sure that, everybody around him, was dug in and connected and got the full experience on an emotional and physical level doing the original film. He was there for you. He had ideas. He was very involved. And, we all stayed friends, the alumni of
Sure.
Break with Patrick Swayze up until the end. And, the one thing I have to say, just for the fans of the original film and new fans of this potential new film coming out, the filmmakers were very sensitive about making sure that the memory of Patrick Swayze,
Sure.
was intact in this film. So without giving it away, there's some homages to Mr. Patrick Swayze in this new film, in his memory. They've done a lot to make sure that they can do whatever they can to pepper in, the original Bodhi, the original Bodhisattva, the philosophy
Sure.
of the man, and Patrick Swayze, so I thought that was really touching when I was making this film, that they would always mention and have him in mind and in their hearts in terms of how they would approach scenes and shooting scenes and the release of the film and maybe dedicating it to the memory of him. There's a lot of special things that connect the two films together, and I'm happy about that.
Well, what's this like for you personally? I mean, you talk about a journey. You're a veteran actor now. You've done so many things, still working on a lot of projects that I want to get into. But to go back to the original Point Break, you said you were 19, and you get this role in the film. And I'm assuming, and I've talked to you about this before, and I feel comfortable saying it had to have changed your life. And now here we are, 25 years later, just about, and just what, on a personal level, what goes through your mind when you think about the kind of the big picture of this whole thing?
It's 25 years of being involved in something that every single day becomes more enriching. Every day there's somebody on some level that I communicate with that has been affected by the film, on some level, the original film. And so for me, it's sort of a gift that keeps giving, and it is, my sort of best known credit, and I'm happy about that. It's one of those things that really has become my life force in the industry and allowed me to have some other opportunities to do other things, and I'm so grateful to have that. I think each artist sort of has that one thing that allows them to win other opportunities, and Point Break has been that thing for me over the past 25 years. And then to have it come back to me with the reimagining of the Point Break and having that be another opportunity, at the threshold of my return to acting, is a blessing in disguise, and I couldn't be more humbled and more grateful to be part of this new project and see where it takes me. It's a beautiful thing. I'm just, I kick myself every day that I have the opportunity to be in the first one, and I'm so connected to this fan base now that has become a friend base.
Absolutely.
It's a fan base, but I'm part of that base, so we've all become a community of friends, yourself included.
Yes.
We're having a conversation. You and I have become friends because of the original film, and things like that to bring us together as a community through a creative experience.
Yeah, it's unbelievable this day and age, and to be able to connect with you, and we obviously from the first time we did our interview with you, it was just kind of on a whim. Hey, these days you have access to people. Maybe that's good or bad. In this case, it worked out well. Thank goodness, at least so far, right? But we were able to reach out to you and talked about the original Point Break, and we're talking about this, and I'm so excited about it. But you have more going on than just this Point Break film. BoJesse, you have been a busy man. I know you've got some projects coming up. Your IMDb page is packed with projects. I know you've got a movie called Sable coming out and some others. Just kind of give us a rundown, and also let us know where we can find you, your website, because I know you do, and I think you're still doing kind of the acting lessons, and you do a class on that too out in Hollywood.
Yeah. Okay, so that's great, and I appreciate that. I mean, for me, it's all about just trying to find the creative opportunities. So I've been fortunate in being able to work a lot in the last couple of years. I did probably 11 films, and I did 3 TV pilots. One film that's a notable film that we should probably talk about that you'll probably see in the spring, probably April, May, is a film called The Runaround. And I think it co-stars J.K. Simmons, who won the Academy Award for Whiplash last year. Mm-hmm. And it also stars Emil Hirsch, who's a wonderful actor.
Yes.
And so this is a dark comedy, and it premieres at Sundance Film Festival in January, and then I believe the film opens on or about April and May 2016. So that's something that's going to be one of those special character-driven dark comedies, fun, things that BoJesse will appear in opposite some wonderful actors, and then everything else behind that is being sort of put to the post-production and blender, and we'll see where it ends up in terms of distribution, in addition to the TV stuff. And as far as the acting stuff, I coach from the heart. For me, it's a shared experience, and so all the things I'm doing as an acting coach, it just sort of came organically in my return back to the craft. And so I teach every Tuesday nights in Hollywood at a place called the Zephyr Theater, but I'm opening up my new creative acting studio in January called Creative Therapy Acting Studio LA.
Awesome.
And there'll be a website for that. It'll be creativetherapyactingstudiolA.com. And it's all forthcoming. I mean, it's all stuff that means a lot to me. It's stuff that I do every chance I get when I'm not, doing a film or TV. I'm coaching, acting. I'm very involved in the creative arts, and it means a lot to me.
Well, you're also a family guy. I mean, on your social media, you always have pictures of your kids who all look like just really good-looking, wonderful kids. Talk about that. I mean, you just, it seems like you, and a lot of people may not realize this. In fact, there's on a quick side note, I mentioned this before, but my favorite IMDb post on any message board is on your personal one on BoJesse Christopher. It says, the thread just says hot, ? Is BoJesse Christopher still hot? I remember him from Meatballs and how cool and laid back he was, which only made him look very hot. I don't know what he's up to, but I hope he is happy and still hot. So that's the message. I just read it. So do we answer the question for this person? And for one, you're not hard to find. I assume if they wanted to, they could figure that out for themselves. But yes, he is, folks. He is. And but back to the family part aspect. You talk about that. Your kids. I know you have a son that's I think that's in the service. In fact.
Yes, I've got 3 kids. I've got a 22-year-old boy, Jesse. He's in the Army, so he's serving our country. Very proud of him, proud of his service, and he's doing great. He just returned from a deployment, so he's back stateside and doing great. And then I've got some younger kids. I've got a 7-year-old boy. His name's Atticus, and a 5-year-old girl. Her name's Tallulah. And
awesome.
Both those younger ones, they're extremely smart, talented. They both sing, dance, and act. So they're very involved in the creative arts. And I couldn't be more proud of all 3 of my kids. So yeah, I live a very very normal, grounded, human life. But I keep it moving, man. I'm real busy. I like to mix it up a lot. I surf all the time. But I'm also, I'm getting things done. I'm always involved in the creative process. A lot of different writers, directors, filmmakers, and so I'm always busy. I'm always, I'm doing something that keeps me thriving. I mean, I'm just that guy. I don't sleep a lot. I love to sleep, but I don't get a lot of sleep because I like to just utilize the time I have on this planet.
Yes.
To get things done.
That's just the way Gromit would have wanted it. That's just the way Gromit would have wanted it, I think. I mean, of course, we're wondering if we're going to see a reprisal of the Jimi Hendrix dance scene that you did in the original Point Break. We're all hoping, but, I mean, it's a different character.
You will at the premiere of this thing.
Oh, I gotta be there.
I mean, I say that because, at the after party, certainly both Jesse, myself, speaking of the third party, will want to hit the dance floor and reprise the Jimi Hendrix, dance that Gromit did in the first film.
Do you have a favorite song off the original film soundtrack? Because I do have one. Do you have a favorite song?
I mean, that's a good question because the soundtrack is for me, it's so obscure. It's so, B-side, obscure. I mean, the Nobody Writes for Free track is pretty cool. But there's, what's the one with 7? What's the Hendrix one? The 7?
Yeah, what is that even called? That's kind of an obscure Hendrix song.
Yeah. I don't know. What's your favorite song?
Mine is the LA Guns, Over the Edge, which actually plays while you're kind of giving your speech on the beach at the party. It's just kind of in the background. But actually, funny enough, LA Guns is going to be in Hollywood a few days after the film premieres, which is kind of cool. And the Rat song, of course, that you mentioned as well. But yeah, it's just I've always wondered that because it's funny because you go through a film, you film it. I mean, you probably had no idea what kind of the music would be and the post-production stuff, and then it comes out and it's like, hey, what was that song? What was in that? But it's kind of cool. That's a great song. I love LA Guns. I'm admittedly a huge fan of the 80s hair bands, and I'll tell you that was the early 90s, but they were still kicking at that point, so it's kind of cool. But what is your plans here? Because I know last year you had a kind of a New Year's party that I wasn't able to get to. This year I will be in LA for New Year's for Motley Crue's last concert at the Staples Center. And so what do you got going for New Year's this year, man?
That's a good question. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of like I'm not hanging out, but I'm sort of like at the mercy of the film release for the new Point Break because film opens Christmas Day, and there's a bunch of influencer screenings that I'm attending over the next few weeks just to kind of get people to see the film and interact with people who are watching the film. So I don't know what my schedule looks like. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna have anything major going on unless somebody kind of puts something in front of me. But I'm just excited about the film's release and obviously want to kind of prepare for the January stuff, Sundance Film Festival. But I don't know. I'm excited. Every day it tells a new story. I don't have any plans. The Motley Crue thing sounds awesome.
Dude, yeah, their last show ever. The very first show, it was on on the Sunset Strip in Hollywood in 1982, and now sending it off for New Year's 2015. So we're going to be out there rocking, going to hit up the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day the next day. So we're going to be out in LA through this time. I'm going to keep on you. I'm going to have to hit you up, man, because if there's any way we could make something happen, at least come snag a picture with you and have you autograph a big 8x10 photo of you and I. That would do it for me. I could then we'd have the evidence that you're still hot, and they would not even notice me because I'd be in the picture with you. So it'd be perfect.
Let's do that for sure. I mean, listen, I want to hear stories about your Motley Crue experience. So funny because Tommy Lee's a friend of mine, and Vince Neil I've known, Mick Mars, all those guys I know just over the years.
Well, come on, can you get us? You got to get us backstage. You got to get us backstage for the show. Then how do we make this happen?
I don't know. I mean, that's a good question. I never try to do stuff like that. I never work angles like that. So I don't know. I mean, I probably have to reach out to those guys. And I always imagine that everybody I know who knows them has already asked them about favorites, so I never ask.
That's true.
Never that guy. Just skip it.
You're a nice guy, and it is in L.A. They've got a few friends out in L.A. It's going to be kind of a crazy situation, but I tell you what, we're going to be making the rounds on the Sunset Strip that over that time. So I'm going to definitely hit you up, man, because I know you've just been a great guest, great friend of the show, great person to interact with. I enjoy hitting you up every now and again. You're always so nice, and you always let me know what you're doing, and I think that's so cool because this is a wall would have been put up for people like growing up before me. They would not have had access to somebody that they grew up watching in movies to just reach out to and say hey and kind of develop a friendship with. I think that's so cool, man. You're a really good guy and a really good actor, and I just can't wait to see what all you got coming up, man. It's going to be awesome.
That means a lot to me, and let's continue the dialogue. Let's circle back after the film opens, and when the runaround starts to come out, let's talk again and see what adventures are in store for both of us that we can share in the stratosphere.
Yes, and there will be many. I can promise you that. BoJesse, always thank you for the time here on the Screen Squad podcast on the Great American Sports Network. We unfortunately have to get back to doing some sports. Big day in the NFL. We're going to get back to that. This is what I love doing the most, though, reminiscing and talking with guys like yourself. Thank you so much. Have a great Sunday, great rest of the day, and we'll catch up soon, my man.
Thank you, guys. Happy holidays.
You too. Appreciate it. Thanks a lot.